Welcome to the show. My name is Deepak. I'm one of your hosts. I'm glad to welcome you here. In case you're a first time listener, what this show is about user generated content. We felt like as a team and as an industry, like not enough people are talking about the amazing things creators are doing on UGC platforms. And news alert, a lot of people play user generated content. So we want to shine a light on that material, on those games, and particularly the amazing creatives behind it. So I'll now like to introduce my host, Jake. Let him take it away.
Hey everybody, Jake here, excited to co-host this week's amazing episode where we get to meet incredible creators building the next generation of games in this industry. This week, we have another incredible guest. We have Jennifer Towne. She is an incredibly talented, incredibly amazing 3D generalist and producer at Geek Out Studio. I love that name for a studio. It's awesome. It's a new Roblox studio that was founded by veteran developers. Jennifer specializes in UGC and has worked with several UGC studios and houses, including Super Social and Suit Up Games. So welcome, Jen, to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very excited.
Yeah, excited to have you.
So, Jen, I'd like to get the ball rolling. One of the reasons I wanted to invite you is which weird to say out loud, but I don't think artists get enough shine, especially because most people just see the game, even though they appreciate the art. So I'd love from your perspective, what even got you interested into gaming, and particularly UGC gaming, and then wanting to build 3D art. I assume you do more than just meshes and everything, right? Get into that type of field. But more particularly, I think what people are interested is why'd you go down a user generated route versus just some people when they dream, right, is oh, I want to make a AAA game and make art for Tomb Raider or for Call of Duty. What made you sort of have a different perspective?
Yeah. I mean, really great questions. To answer your first question about what got me into this space, primarily was touched on the power of games. I grew up in the generation that was able to access YouTube around 12, 13 years old. So we were able to actually watch a lot of the gaming content that was published and shared on that website. And ironically, right, this user-generated platform of video making influenced the game development scene and certainly influenced me. I watched a YouTuber play the introduction sequence to The Last of Us, and this experience opened my eyes drastically to how games can impact a human being. More specifically, how a human being can experience a alternate perspective than they wouldn't be able to otherwise. And this could range on a whole incredible grand scale of possibilities and directions. It could be a fictional perspective. It could be, very well a nonfiction scenario, right? And this aspect of games in particular sparked my interest. So what I did was I went to the company's website, Naughty Dog's website, and I just went straight to their careers page and scrolled until something jumped out at me. And what jumped out at me was environment art. I was a huge fan of Lego growing up. I used to have this ginormous desk of just base plates, empty base plates, and I would build worlds even just on those base plates. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, I can do that. That sounds great. Let me focus on that. And from there, I kind of took that passion and ran with it. It almost felt like a light bulb moment seeing that title. I don't know really what it was that motivated me to exactly just continuously and relentlessly pursue this, but I mean, the end result is, obviously I'm sitting here talking to y'all today, so I feel pretty good about the direction, right? Yeah, and to answer your second point on the desire to continue forward in the UGC space, user-generated content is incredibly interesting to explore on in all senses of the word. We see it a lot in YouTube. I would even argue that social media plays a heavy role in user-generated content and propels that social media to be what it is today. And in the world of gaming, I think it very much has a similar impact. So what gravitates me towards UGC instead of, let's say, AAA or a 4 to 6 year develop, AAA game is the ability to rapidly learn and collaborate. And I think this is something that a lot of people would agree with or share. I feel very strongly that I have learned so much about game development and about working and collaborating with other people, more so than I would have otherwise. So yeah, I mean, very, very happy to jump into this further as time, goes on and as we discuss this a little bit more. But that is definitely the main pull for me is collaboration and learning. And I think this is something that a lot of people should definitely lean into if they're thinking about jumping into the UGC space.
No, I love that. I love the Naughty Dog reference, right? And like something spoke to you. And I love that like I think some people think you want to be just a creator, but there's a lot of people that like to collab.
Oh,
And like
so many, especially people who are just starting out on Roblox. I mean, back in the day when I got started and when a lot of my colleagues and friends got started, there was no method of making money. There was no method of advertising your game. You just made things because you love to make them and collaborate with other people in making them. So that heart is still very much there, especially with veteran Roblox developers, people who've been doing this for over a decade now. It's something that we care very much about, that collaborative, creative initiative.
So the space has grown a lot over the last like 10 years, right? Like you said, like people have been building this in Roblox and UGC in general for 10 plus years. It's brought on with a lot of tools, like Roblox Studio, and obviously like there's a lot of generative AI stuff that's starting to come out. Like that's brought a lot more creators into the ecosystem, like people who maybe a few years ago didn't think that they could build a game, let alone like a huge multiplayer experience and stuff like that. But it's also brought since it's brought more people into the ecosystem, there's a lot more content out there. What are things, like you said, you've learned a lot? Are there things you've learned in terms of how to stand out within when you're creating content, creating experience? Like how, say, I'm coming in and I want to build an experience, but I find it hard to stand out and get noticed in this sea of experiences. Like what are things that I can do to stand out?
Sure. Yeah, this is a very interesting question and something that I would argue, I imagine all game developers think about.
Yeah.
How do we make our game stand out? And this is a mutual question across the board. Obviously, secondary question to that is how do we make this fun, right? How do we keep people around? So yeah, I mean, to be specific, I would say that this is something that is actively being explored, especially on the Roblox platform. Roblox is very iterative. It's very, very much based on trends, and outer influences or outside influences actually have a very heavy impact on Roblox. Often we see YouTube trends or new big hit shows influencing what's made on the platform and what's popular on the platform for a time. So this is something that we take into consideration, data, where the interest is, things like that. But what makes a game stand out is up for interpretation. On the Roblox platform, there's a lot of simple, straightforward games. We're exploring what that looks like in terms of development, especially in Geek Out right now. We're heavily focused on iteration processes and getting things out quick, just to see what works and what doesn't work and how to find the answers to these questions. I encourage anybody who's looking to get into the UGC space or is interested in the UGC space in general to explore this question thoroughly and try all sorts of different angles. Once again, collaborate and learn and grow. That's at the beating heart of the UGC space, I believe.
Well, speaking of UGC space, like, what do you think is a common misconception about doing art in UGC versus some other entertainment or game space?
I think a common misconception is that it's easy. I do this for a living and I do it as a full-time job, and more often than not, I'm doing it for more than 8 hours a day. It's something where I think in the UG space, we have a lot more self-taught people, which can have its pros and cons. You have very interesting perspectives and angles. You have different kinds of ideas that otherwise you may not get from people who are very well seasoned and trained and have been through that rigorous process in school. But additionally, you'll have a lot of quirks to work through. Let's say artist A only wants to build with cubes, and artist B really, really, really likes to 3D model and definitely doesn't want to stick to cubes. Stuff like that, communications like that are often encountered. To be a little bit more specific on the challenges in art within UGC. More often than not, we need games out quick rather than it's more quantity over quality, I would argue, at least in the Roblox space, only because the players seem to only deeply care about the game loop rather than the art. And you'll notice this a lot on Roblox. There's a lot of games out there that look like Lego, or like really, really simple, shapes, nothing too complex, artistically speaking. And this is for a reason. We're trying to get games out quick so that we can then build on top of the foundation that we've developed. So in the artistic side of UGC content, it's a lot of creating fast. It's a lot of managing asset libraries. It's a lot of ensuring that there is consistency amongst these assets, which is similar to, AAA. But in doing so, it's collaborating with a lot of people that may be learning as they go. They may be completely self-taught, right? And so this is a very interesting angle and a very interesting challenge, but I also think it can be a pro. There's definitely a lot more depth to this answer, but I'll probably leave it just at that for now.
Yeah, I definitely vibe with that too, because I worked on Animal Company, one of the VR titles, on the Quest, and that's what we saw. The same thing as well was we were trying to figure out how do we build a hit game, and obviously there's a lot of focus in a lot of the industry when talking about like VR and MR in terms of like visual quality, and you get some cool titles out of it, Batman and other stuff like that. But one of the top games on the Quest we saw is Gorilla Tag, and the graphics on that are like crazy low poly, but it's all about immersion. Like, what can I do with my friends? Like, what are the objects I can grab and play around with and just like feel immersed in it? And yeah, like you said, it was part of if the game loop is fun and also like a bonus, my friends are there or I make new friends, then I want to stick around. Like, I don't care if it like looks like real life. I just want it to be fun.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it looks like, which is, I think, it's nice from one perspective. I know from an artist perspective, might be conflicting. Like, I want this to look beautiful and amazing and stuff. And it's like, oh no, you can just do like PS1 graphics. And that's.
Yeah. And it's difficult, right? Because sometimes as an artist, you want to do more than that. And that's something that I've been working on personally, is letting go of this idea of perfectionism and specifically fully embracing this idea of simplicity, and knowing that these UGC games are living, breathing things that can be transformed in whatever ways you want. So if, let's say, the game takes off and this art style is not up to your standards, well, great. Now you have an argument to make that game stand out, make it more visually appealing, and actually invest that time in a productive way for you as an artist. So yeah, a very, very interesting angle that I would argue UGC artists in particular run into more frequently than not.
Yeah. And you can move quickly too, right? Because like you said, you don't have to do like these like AAA games have to do like these big planned releases and updates that only come out maybe so often. But UGC, I can push maybe an art asset doesn't look right, or I want to add a new area to the map or whatever it is. I can push that out really, really quickly and respond to feedback, or people like, oh, that avatar looks awful. Like, or I don't like that. Or like, maybe you guys should do that. Like, you can jump on that feedback really quickly.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like updates? Like, I love seeing release notes and stuff. It feels like an early Christmas if my favorite game has release notes or something like that. Right. So
that's exactly it. Right. And gosh, wouldn't it be great if you were playing a game for the past few months and suddenly it got a huge art polish lift, right? I mean, that just sounds like a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's time for my favorite time. Fun? No, it's time. Oh my God, I'm having a stroke. It's time for my favorite part of our show, and that's getting to play stuff. And today we're going to jump into Kaiju City Showdown, which I actually surprisingly haven't played yet, but it looks really dope. So we're going to play this together and just have a great time. It's kind of like, I guess, PvP with Godzilla, more or less, in a city. So it's going to be really dope. I think we're all going to be on our phones. But yeah, I'm really excited to play and show off my avatar that I spent a lot of time creating.
It's going to be so
Let's
cool.
go.
Let's do it. Let's jump in.
Kill the kaiju. I have to kill the kaiju. Who's the kaiju? Oh, Ellie's the kaiju. Oh, and I died already. That was really fast. Basically, my role in this part of our show every time is showing people how terrible I am at playing games. I am the worst.
Let's do this. Woo! Here we go. I'm running.
Where's the kaiju? Oh, there he is.
Gosh.
Get him.
Wait, is Elliot the kaiju?
Yeah. Yes.
There he is. Oh my gosh. See, I was wondering. I was like, it should not be difficult to find a kaiju.
You would think. Oh, he's up there.
I'm gonna get you, dude. Come here.
Godzilla!
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Due to copyright reasons, we can't say that Godzilla. He's similar to Godzilla.
I can jetpack. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Any game that lets you jetpack is a great game.
Yeah, I didn't realize about the jetpack for a while. And that's like the coolest thing here.
Wow.
Got him.
There's no way you're destroying this city, kaiju. Oh my gosh.
Well, maybe that building, but not the city.
Not the city. Maybe the building I am standing on. Yeah. Here we go. Whee! I really like this jetpack. This is so fun.
Yeah, I like that they don't make you have to hold the button.
That's so nice. And it works so well because you just look where you want to go. Where'd that kaiju go?
I'm getting Fortnite vibes.
Oh, there he is.
This is giving slay.
Have you made any monsters, Jenny?
I've
During
made a
your
couple.
travels?
I've made a couple. I have worked for food brands before, and I've had to make food-related monsters before.
What's a food-related monster?
That's a great question. So,
Like Tony the Tiger?
I mean, like, it could be that in the UGC
The-
space, or it could very well be a creature that's made out of the ingredients of the food item or food
Like the
brand.
Cheeto? Like the talking Cheeto?
Yeah,
Not talking Cheeto. The talking Cheez-It. The talking Cheez-It.
Yeah, basically.
I'm feeling cheesy.
But yes, I've made a couple of monsters.
Oh, you know what was my favorite? Do you remember? Really long time ago, it was the cereal. What the heck is the name of that cereal? Did the Chex Mix? They did like their own version of Doom.
Really?
Yeah, and it was. I played that game all the time as a 5-year-old. Oh my god,
Gosh.
it was terrifying.
Did he get
And
his
I don't
health back?
Oh my God.
Did the monster get his health back?
Godzilla, no!
My gosh.
Where are you? Why can't I find you?
He looks like he's dancing. Oh, look at him. Ah!
Oh, there you are.
Ah! Go away. No. No, 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 no. Okay. I gotta run. Can't get me, buddy. Not gonna happen. Not today. This must be so cool in VR.
Oh, it is.
Yes, yeah. Especially one person's in VR and the rest are on other devices.
Yeah. Godzilla in VR must be amazing. Or big monster in VR must be amazing.
Yeah.
Kaiju.
I'm
Flowzilla.
halfway down.
What?
What's a world you want to make in the future? Or do you keep it a secret? Which is perfect.
I might have to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
I might have to keep it a secret. All I really want to create is memorable experiences in one way or another.
What's your
So
favorite
whatever-
memorable experience you've already made?
That's a great question. My favorite. I'm gonna have to say that like Scary Sushi Chapter 2 was a lot of fun. It was a lot.
It was
of
better
fun.
than Chapter 1?
It may or may not be better than Chapter 1. There's only one way to find out. That's up to every person, right?
Well, now you have to give us the background. What's the game?
We got him.
Scary Sushi is a cooking competition game where you are tasked to create things for like a boss chef, and you find and uncover that there is much more horror or mystery to the story than initially intended or initially realized. As a player, you are actively gathering your ingredients, and in doing so, there's things that you can encounter, creepy creatures or tricky obstacles. But think of it as a cooking competition meets horror kind of game. And there's a whole story to it. So it's really fun when you're given the context of that story to work with, especially as an artist, because you can add a lot of little details that contribute to that story.
No, I like that game. I need to check it out. But I also want to know why we haven't been able to kill. I thought we killed Elliot.
We did. He came back. He's resurrected.
I think we're almost there.
Get him.
I love how he's just shuffling in the air for me. It just looks like he's dancing. Get
What you
him!
doing up there? What
Get
you doing
him!
up there?
Get him!
What is going on your screen? Oh my god. You're breaking that building.
Oh.
Damn.
We've almost got him.
Come on, so close.
Reloading.
Yeah,
No!
we did it!
Yeah!
We did it!
Woo!
The Sky Rangers.
Yay!
Boop, boop. That was a good time.
That was great.
Yes, that was a fun time. Thanks for playing. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. I love the cross-platform aspect, like Alien in VR, us on mobile. That was cool.
And that's something that is encountered often in UGC spaces nowadays. You know, you can play on phone, you can play on headset, you can play on console even. You know, you can approach it from all sorts of different angles, which does present its own development challenges as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun trying to solve those problems, which is probably the other part of UGC creation that not a lot of people talk about. It's very fun. Like
they don't talk about how it's fun, or they don't talk about the challenges.
Probably both. I mean,
okay.
Like, you know, you've got, let's say, 3 months to make a game, right? Which may seem a little stressful and can be depending on, you know, your team and how you approach that. But in doing so, that also means that every 3 months you have something new to explore and something new to tackle and solve and more learnings to obtain. This is all incredibly valuable information to have to become a well-seasoned, not only UGC developer, but I think it also lends a lot of skill into just game development in general, and different approaches of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for playing with us. That was great. I love wrapping it up like that. So, Deepak, you want to take us home?
Yeah, Jen, we always like to ask one question at the end, which is, what do you think is the future of sort of gaming / UGC in the next 10 to 20 years? And I would love from your perspective.
Wow, that's a big question, because 10 years ago, if you asked me that same question about Roblox, I would not have guessed correctly where we would have ended up.
Where did you guess then? Because I'd love to see where it's changed.
I mean, back in the day, I probably would have guessed like better graphics, you know what I mean? Really simple stuff, nothing like I could do it for a living or just keep running along that path, you know, and surfing that wave, you know. I think in 10 to 20 years from now, we're probably going to see a lot of, I would probably predict technological advancements, obviously in AI, but in VR as well. There's a lot of pros and cons to VR right now, and I think as this technology develops, we'll be able to see the public opinion change on VR. I think it'll be really cool to eventually see some kind of maybe machine that emulates the ground that you're, you know, walking and running on, something treadmill-esque. You know, that you can kind of run around and actively move in game development. And I think that'll open a whole wave for fitness to get involved in ways that like usually wouldn't be. You know, I think it'll be really interesting seeing how gyms could change, how health improvements within health and wellness industry will change, rehabilitation. I already know that there's some efforts to rehabilitate while using VR, but as the headsets change and become more accessible to you know, everybody with all sorts of different head shapes and all that, you know, imagine that things will become a lot more immersive than they already are. And I think it's going to be a really cool future to see. I think we're going to see a lot of creativity. We're going to see a lot of new products come out a lot faster because of AI. I think we're going to see a lot of people taking different angles and approaches that may not have been considered before. And I think that's the part I'm most excited about, is what are the new perspectives that we'll have to look through to problem solve, you know, and overcome any challenges that come our way. Resiliency is key in game development.
That's true. What about like in terms of art, like particularly your field?
I definitely think AI is going to have a role to play in my field. I think there should be a lot of discussion around ethical concerns related to AI, but it's important to have an open mind and it's important to have a discussion, especially nowadays. I think it's incredibly important to have that ability to discuss different points of view. So I very much look forward to exploring AI's implementations further, and to see where it can take art. I do think, however, having a human throughout the process of creating this art is essential to firmly understanding and persuading people in regards to storytelling. The reason why I started all this is because I got perspective of another human's experience. And I don't necessarily think that AI will be able to replicate that in its entirety. It can get pretty darn close, I'm sure. But I think human beings being at the forefront of utilizing this tool will be a very pivotal thing and a very important thing if we want to keep things grounded in reality and to persuade people or educate people or help people. I mean, you name it. There's so many uses for tech advancements and AI advancements. So very curious to see where that leads us.
Yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
never lose that part of like wanting to connect.
As humans, as a species, this is getting very deep
Yes.
very quickly. Thank you, Jen, for coming on the show. It's working from home. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate your insights and playing with you. It was a good time. Great getting to meet you and get to know you. So thanks for coming on. For everybody listening, thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and shows. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Later.
Bye.
Bye.